north passing exit 40. I just passed like 50 Humvees, all heading north, like probably towards Chicago, and there's just a sea of them. Looks like maybe they all got activated. Maybe the guard got activated. It's all military police, every one of them. This is crazy, but yeah, I bet you they're going to secure the city because of this virus. They're shutting shit down. Watch, it's a government takeover. You guys better strap up. Be ready for war. It's coming. Got biological warfare going on.
You are here because you have seen the imminent destruction of the United States of America as we know it. It began with COVID. It began with fear. We were forced into lockdown. No work, no school, no social interactions. The only form of communication was social media and mainstream media, both of which are compromised. Then the stimulus checks were sent out to quell us, to keep us calm. Then tracking and tracing was implemented. Then riots began. Then the defunding of our law enforcement. Then the systematic destruction of our historical monuments. This is no longer about a virus. This is about control. This is about the destruction of the constitutional republic our forefathers fought and died for 244 years ago. They want us to keep the fight on social media, where they control the narrative. They want us in our homes, muzzled with masks, arguing with our friends over what happens next. They want us afraid. They want us to feel helpless. They want us to wait until the fight comes to our homes, our house, so that one at a time they can slowly pick us apart. They want to make an example of us and do it while we're not organized, while we're not in great numbers or in masses. This is not about a virus. This is about division. This is about taking away our freedoms one at a time, slowly, so that by the time we recognize what's happening, it is too late. You are witnessing the destruction of the Republic and the installation of socialism and communism. But you are here because you've seen this all coming. You are here because you have a voice that has not been heard. You are here because you are the lifeblood of this great nation. We are the silent majority. And we are done being silent. For massive change to occur, massive action must be taken. I want you to remember this. It comes straight from our Declaration of Independence. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. This fight is in your hands. The success of this mission is in your hands. Nothing like this has ever been done before. And I'll say it again. We are the silent majority. We are limitless. We will succeed. This is our country, and we are taking it back. Patriots, this is your call.
Downtown, the Dodger Stadium over there, so y'all don't think I'm bullshitting. Y'all better get ready. These about to do some shit to us, bro.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. To the now corporate-controlled government, expect us.
Opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Americans, mobilize. Stand together, stand tall. Tell the government you're mad as hell. No longer cooperate with the government. Do not accept the national ID card. Do everything in your power to restore freedom and your individuality back to America. Stop being a country run by the institutions for the institutions. Let's go back to we the people, by the people, for the people, as opposed to we the institution, by the institution, for the institution.
Stop being scared. We have to stand up and do what's necessary to take back, to stop these bankers, this elite, this government full of lies, congressmen full of liars.
As Iraq veterans against the war, we are resisting an occupation we once risked our lives for. We swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, but we found out the hard way that the greatest enemies of the Constitution are not to be found in the sands of some far-off land, but rather right here at home. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. It is time we start meeting oppression with resistance. They cannot stop us. Humanity marches on. The utmost manifestation of love and devotion to America is today, as it always has been, resistance of tyranny. Resist we must, and resist we will. We will not be silent. We will not obey. We will not let our government destroy our humanity. We will not wait another moment in fear to stand up for what we know to be right. It is time we start meeting oppression with resistance.
Northwoods explained that really quick. I mean, this is 1962. The Joint Chiefs of Staff signed a document that was planning on having fake attacks on American civilians and blaming it on the Cubans to get us to go to war with Cuba. They were going to blow up a drone jetliner. They were going to send a jet into the air and blow it up.
Oh my God!
And blame the Cubans for it and get us to go to war with Cuba. Planning on having fake attacks on American civilians.
The time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
I served with Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines as an automatic machine gunner. There's a term, once a Marine, always a Marine, but there's also the term, eat the apple, F the core. I don't work for you no more.
And I'm a Marine. I took an oath to defend the Constitution. The Constitution! I didn't take an oath to defend these banksters. And I guarantee you, all you devil dogs out there need to rise up and take over this country and defend the Constitution against these punks. Okay, I'm sick of it too, Alex. You know, I'm a Marine, but I'm sick of this. You know, they're using us and they're sucking us dry and they are destroying us.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
But today on the west coast of Canada, a shot was heard around the world.
And it came from the citizens of Parksville, Qualicum, who for the last several months have organized themselves, along with many other Canadians, in local common law assemblies, the Oceanside Common Law Assembly. Last night, at a special meeting, they brought in a local bylaw, which is now binding on all the citizens, which actually bans COVID restrictions and other measures. Let me read the news release they're sending out today. COVID restrictions and mandatory vaccinations are outlawed and nullified by Common Law Assembly. Citizens are encouraged to resist police state measures as officials are threatened with fines and imprisonment. And this is from Parksville, British Columbia, on central Vancouver Island. In a historic act of direct democracy last night, the Oceanside Common Law Assembly passed a public safety bylaw that prohibits COVID restrictions and mandatory distancing, masking, quarantines, and vaccinations anywhere in the communities of Parksville and Qualicum Beach on Canada's west coast. Citing international law, the Assembly bylaw states that these COVID regulations, quote, are unlawful, unwarranted, and medically unsound measures that threaten and assault the fundamental liberties, health, and security of the people of our community. Therefore, it is ordered that no one is obligated to consent to or comply with any of these regulations, and anyone is free to actively resist and disobey such regulations and measures by any means necessary without fear of legal consequence.
All right, so I'm trying to slow down to this truck. We came up by it, and I was like, are those FEMA coffins? And my wife just saw, look right there. They are FEMA coffins, burial vaults. They're burial vaults. Wow. Burial vaults. Get a look at the FEMA coffins. Look.
Look at them. They're right there. That's it.
I don't know where they're shipping them. But look, just so you know, we're not playing no games.
We are
look
not
at the
playing
side
games.
of the truck. Look at the side of the truck. It says burial vaults. No games. Look at that. They're from Indiana. Alright, I'll take it back off. Hey.
We just saw it.
It ain't no joke.
That's weird. How's it going? Question for you. Why are you writing my license plate down?
Any other questions you got?
No, I want to know why you're writing my license plate down.
Thanks for your question.
And why you're all standing around here. Why are the cops here at the school? What are you guys installing?
Any other questions?
No, you want to answer any of them?
No, I don't.
Why?
Because I don't have to. I don't want to.
Why are there 3 cops here that aren't even in
What are you doing over there?
I'm trying to figure out
Are you going to church?
I'm trying to figure out what everybody's doing at these schools.
Are you on private property there? Why are you parked in there?
That's a real deflective question.
It really is.
Why can't you answer any of
I
mine?
don't want to.
Because you're
Why don't you answer my question?
Are you trying to kill my kids?
I'm trying to kill your kids?
Yeah, what are you guys
doing? You got my identification on you?
I don't think that matters.
You need to call some law enforcement over here.
I think
you're
they
acting
have
weird.
I haven't done anything wrong. I have rights.
You're coming over here asking weird questions.
Weird questions?
Yeah,
that you won't answer.
You think people are trying to kill you?
No,
and your
I
family.
don't. I'm questioning if you guys are installing 5G in the school. Because I have it on a good source that you are.
Okay.
And will you answer that question?
No,
you won't answer?
Nope.
Okay, I'll make sure to share this record with you.
Go do that.
Thank you.
I got your plate.
Is that a threat? You have my plates?
I got your plate.
So you're what, gonna show up at my house and do something? I'm not afraid of you, man.
And you think you're recording and you think that's appropriate? Why are you recording this?
Because it's suspicious. Because it's suspicious. All right?
You think people are trying to kill you?
I think that you guys are installing 5G and it's very dangerous. And you guys are told to lie about it.
Stop recording me. You don't have my permission to record me.
Okay, this is a free country.
Recording.
Goodbye.
Stop recording.
I don't think so.
Here. It's gonna be a quick video, guys. So this article came to me a couple days ago, sat on it, was busy with life, meant to do a video about it, sorry. But the thing is this though, medical tyranny alert, right? So out of Grand Rapids and or Kent County, Michigan, my home state here, right? There is a circuit court judge by the name of Mark Trusock signed an order allowing healthcare professionals, mainly physicians and nurse practitioners, to violate your constitutional rights and detain you without a warrant, without any other real reason other than believing that you have COVID-19 based on your symptoms. That's it. Not a positive test, not, oh, for sure you have, these 3-4 symptoms, whatever's going on. No, just if you have a fever. Well, think how many conditions that you can get that would cause a fever. If your body's simply fighting off an infection of some kind, you would have a fever in general. So, mind you, a fever is 100.4 degrees. 100.4. So if you were running while wearing a stocking cap, if you were doing whatever, some kind of labor outside with some more warmer stuff like that, and you went to your doctor's appointment for a physical or a checkup or whatever, boom, temperature shaker, and oh, look at that. Now, granted, with this, though, they can't just automatically wrestle you to the ground and handcuff you to the bench or whatever. No. They actually have to have the petition signed and delivered, right? But that can only take a matter of hours before they're now lawfully able to, or I should say lawfully, unconstitutionally detain you, right? Now, the order also would expand to the police. They could actually detain you on the premises of having a fever, a cough, you sneezed, whatever, for up to 24 hours in jail if no other facilities were available at the time to put you in. Now, granted, this has already got some flack, a lot of flack, from the Grand Rapids City Attorney Office saying it's unconstitutional, it's illegal, it's unenforceable. They even warned the Grand Rapids Police Department, don't do it, it's not a good idea, you can face a lot of liability from this, etc., etc. Now, same thing with other city attorney offices as well, i.e. the Lansing. They're like, this is unconstitutional, highly illegal, it violates everyone's civil liberties. Just no. Absolutely no. And I agree. This is a stupid idea. Again, there's a number of reasons why someone could be sneezing, or have a cough, or have a fever. A number of reasons. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this virus isn't deadly. I'm not saying this virus isn't real. I'm just simply saying there's a multitude of other reasons why someone could be coughing or sneezing or whatever. Okay? That's what I'm saying there. And I think it's really stupid that they want to pass something where they can pretty much enact medical tyranny. And on the premises of this too, guys, say that you go in, and we all know this is true. We all know this is true. Say you go in with a MAGA hat on, okay, a Trump-supporting hat on, or some kind of clothing like that, right? They could just do it.
And you'll have something waiting on you that you don't want. Yes, come on. We'll protect your constitutional rights as long as you remain under the umbrella of peaceful protest or peaceful march. But the second that you step out from up under the protection of the Constitution, we'll be waiting on you. And we'll give you everything you want. All the publicity, all the pain, all the glamour and glory for all that 5 minutes will give you. Is it a threat? Absolutely not. But somebody has to step up in front of the camera and say, enough is enough. Tearing up Clay County, that's not going to be acceptable. And if we can't handle you, you know what I'll do? I'll exercise the power and authority as the sheriff, and I'll make special deputies of every lawful gun owner in this county. And I'll deputize them for this one purpose, to stand in the gap between lawlessness and civility. That's what we're sworn to do, and that's what we're going to do.
Is emfscientist.org, emfscientist.org. That's 220 doctors and scientists from 39 countries who have looked at health effects from wireless radiation. And from their work and the work of others, we can clearly say that wireless radiation can cause cancer, neurological problems, immune system disorders, and reproductive harm. Clearly, our scientists, along with the other groups I work with, which are composed of people who are developing wireless health effects from their various sources. For instance, people developing brain tumors from their cell phone and the radiation emits. People developing neurological symptoms from the Wi-Fi, from school Wi-Fi. People developing neurological and cancerous health effects from simple smart meters. Smart meters being little wireless meters that are put on people's homes so that people don't have to come by and read the meter themselves manually. So regardless of the source, And cell towers are the most powerful source of wireless radiation emissions. Regardless of the source, the health effects can be the same. So what brings me here today is the rollout of 5G technology. And people need to understand that 5G technology is very different from 2G, 3G, and 4G that preceded it. And that is because the wireless radiation is using a higher frequency. Our current wireless technology uses about 1 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz. This new 5G technology is ultra high frequency, ultra high intensity, and it's 24 gigahertz to 90 gigahertz. To put this in some type of perspective, 90 gigahertz is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second hitting your body. We know people are already getting sick from the lower frequencies, and we expect, that is our scientists expect, that these higher ultra high frequency microwaves are going to bring people to disease quicker and in a more intense form. The other problem with 5G technology is these microwaves are very short. So our old microwaves were about 2.5 to 3 feet long. These are now about 1 inch to half an inch long, and they don't travel very well. So they're going to have to put a little cell tower transmitter in front of about every 2 to 10 homes. Now, this is a big problem because we know that cancer rates around regular cell towers are about 3 or 4 times what they normally should be. We also know that there's neurological symptoms that increase as you get closer and closer to a cell tower. Now, these new transmitters are going to be placed close to people's homes. It's going to be continuous exposure as with other cell towers, but it'll be emitting a much more higher frequency, high intensity wireless radiation. So we have a tremendous problem that's happening, and people need to understand that the FCC is pushing this technology nationwide. What's also important for people to understand is the FCC is dominated by the wireless industry itself. And the FCC are the people that are given the responsibility and privilege of regulating wireless radiation human exposure standards. So unfortunately, the FCC, whose chairman, who just left, and they change with every administration, was the former main lobbyist and the former president of the wireless trade organization, CTIA. So the agency that's been given the responsibility and privilege of maintaining and setting our human exposure standards for wireless radiation, and people call this radio frequency radiation or EMF, electromagnetic field radiation, they all mean the same thing, are the people who profit and benefit from the proliferation of wireless technology and the transmitters that empower it. So we have a huge conflict of interest at the top, and this is what really drives and creates the problem from the beginning.
So the question of the day, Ian, what do you think about 5G? For those of you that don't know, I'm a tower climber. I climb cell phone towers and install the cellular equipment that allows you to keep scrolling. And I'm currently in 5G training. And I was already concerned about this technology before getting in there and actually learning some of the science about it. So let me give you some of the science about it. The radio frequency that our towers currently emit is non-ionizing radiation with a long footprint over the ground, so it's able to dissipate and spread out. Right? It's currently being broadcast anywhere from like 1.5 to 2.5, 2.8 megahertz. Right? Up close, if you take radio frequency close, it superheats the water molecules in your brain, eyes, and testicles. Right? So it's a very real thing. You could render yourself sterile or with a splitting headache for days, or I've cooked the top of my skull and left me useless for the rest of the day. Right? And that's at short range, at a relatively low power. The way 5G is going to work is it is going to broadcast in gigahertz, not megahertz. We're talking about 30 plus gigahertz they're estimating, which means 15,000 times stronger than what we're pushing out right now. And it's going to actually go at a much steeper peak. It's going to almost be broadcast straight at the ground to hit more receivers that are then going to transmit it outwards. Right? The plan is to install these small cells on billboards and street lights, sides of buildings, in the corner of your office building or in the hallway of your apartment complex, so that they can get lightning fast speeds. Well, here's the thing. The RF that we've been broadcasting isn't really damaging to you, though they can't tell the long-term effects. But because it dissipates over distance and it's not a concentrated thing, the radio frequency we're broadcasting now has a really long wave trough, right? So even if you're getting hit with it, you're not absorbing a lot. That's why if I take it close range, I eat it, but you don't feel it down off the tower. It's not going to be that way with 5G. It's going to be in the corner of your office. They're talking about putting a 38-band MIMO antenna in the back of every car so that they can talk to each other and self-drive. Now, the 5G, its waveform is much tighter, where 4G, 3G, and 2G have fairly long wave troughs so that we can reach distances and have a greater footprint coming off the tower. It's not necessary with 5G. It's going to be broadcast in what's called a millimeter wave, which is much more tightly focused with much closer wave troughs. So when it does hit, you just get blasted. And it's not miles away, hundreds of feet up on a tower anymore. It's in the corner of your office, which means that this millimeter wave is going to be able to directly affect the cellular membranes, the bonds that hold your cells together. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be behind the back seat where your car seats are. I mean, not to mention what it's going to do to your brain and your eyes and your testicles or ovaries, just from the superheating that radio frequency will do at a close range. But because it is so powerful, so compact and tightly beamed, it is literally going to be able to break down the bonds that hold your cells together. And that's how you get tumors. The rub of it is, America, that you're not going to know what I did to you for another 15, 20 years. And by then it's going to be too fucking late. It already is. We've got trillions tied up in this 5G push. People are screaming for faster phones. Everyone wants to be able to scroll at the speed of light. There's no stopping it. What am I going to do, right? This is my job. You know, I got kids to take care of. I got my own chemo treatments 30 years from now that I'm going to have to deal with. So yeah, I'm going to install it. America, I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm fixing to pull your fillings out for the gold before I put you in a gas chamber. America doesn't care. They want faster phones. You'll carry eventually and it'll be too late. But God bless you. God bless America. I wish you the best. Feel free to name your tumor after me. I'm real sorry about what it's fixing to do to the babies, little fetuses that are developing in utero, surrounded by water. The consequences to the next generation are untold. I'm not even talking about what we're fixing to do to our own vision, our own reproductive organs, our own cognitive abilities. I'm not talking about the breakdown of our cellular bonds that are going to lead to tumor growth. I'm talking about what it's going to do to the little baby brains and eyes that are trying to develop in the womb. What we're fixing to do to toddlers and infants that are born, that are still developing, man. So the question of the day is, Ian, what do you think about 5G? I'm frightened and saddened because I'm going to install this.
Load speeds and conveniences that most of us have never dreamed of, but will also be blanketed with a new type of radiation called millimetre waves. Health experts are warning about the rising risks with a 5G rollout.
It's not been made clear to the public that 5G won't just be another number and letter on your cell phone. It requires an entirely new infrastructure of thousands of small cellular antennas to be erected throughout cities where it's going to be installed.
What would 5G infrastructure look like? Small cell antennas could be placed as close as every third hydro pole. Scientists from 42 countries are now warning their governments about the emerging health problems associated with wireless radiation, and Canadian doctors and scientists have added their voices.
The most prevalent symptoms include headache, fatigue, decreased ability to concentrate, tinnitus, irritability, and insomnia. Impacts on the heart and the nervous system are also of great concern.
Dr. Rena Bray has been working at the Provincial Environmental Health Clinic for 15 years and seen the number of people suffering adverse effects from electromagnetic exposure rising.
We are concerned that the upcoming introduction of 5G will significantly increase the proximity and extent of exposure to microwave radiation in Ontarians. We predict that the number of people who develop the symptoms I just mentioned will rise in the places where 5G is first installed.
Dr. Magda Havas is internationally recognized for her research on the biological effects of electromagnetic pollution. She said that at high intensities, these waves cause intense heat and pain because sweat glands on the surface of our skin act like mini antennas.
At lower frequencies, scientists are predicting damage to eyes, loss of insect populations which are already declining, antibiotic resistance in bacteria, and physiological effects on the nervous system and on the immune system.
Radiation from radio frequencies is classed in the same category of carcinogens as lead.
It's 10.
One advisor to the World Health Organization said there's enough evidence that if they were to re-evaluate radio frequency radiation,
it would be placed in class 1, i.e. a human carcinogen.
The thing is that 5G, the frequency and the power, which is 10 times more powerful than 4G, is reacting adversely with human cells, causing cells in our bodies to be poisoned, toxic, and our natural defense mechanism is pushing out that toxicity in the form of a virus.
I'm gonna cut you up so small the worms won't even have to chew.
So what you're seeing is not coronavirus per se, you're seeing cell poisoning manifesting with fluids, chemicals, viruses that the body is trying to dispose of because it's harmful to its physical body.
Oh, sugar, you just gone and done the dumbest thing in your whole life.
You see, you, sir, just made the biggest mistake of all conspiracy theorists. The biggest mistake ever. You, sir, just made a testable claim.
What is happening is that 5G, the frequency and the power, which is 10 times more powerful than 4G, is reacting adversely with human cells.
Cool. So you could demonstrate your hypothesis quite easily. You would just get a cell culture and irradiate it with 5G. As much as you want. Let yourself go. Strap it to the bloody antenna. And if your hypothesis is right, those cells should magically start producing coronavirus. I can save you a little time though. It won't work because 5G doesn't cause viruses, and viruses are not cells detoxifying themselves. And for those saying, oh, I was hoping for something a little more substantial, why did you scientifically kneecap this one at the start?
Are you finished, Mr. Slade?
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
Oh, there is so much more sweet, juicy ownage to come. I mean, let's just take this guy.
I was the head of the largest business unit at Vodafone, their headquarters in Newbury.
No, honestly, really, he's a telecoms engineer, a really, really high up telecoms engineer. You know, it's one of these odd things. All these conspiracy theory videos start with someone telling you what a great expert they are on the subject.
I have to
tell people 5G is a killer. I'm Mark Steele. Anybody who hasn't heard me. I'm a weapons systems head-up display expert, one of the leading experts in the world.
I mean, let me just push X to doubt on this one for the moment. But let's just be generous and say it were true. If I want advice on microbiology or biochemistry or infectious diseases, do you know who I don't consult? Someone who runs a bloody business unit.
I was the head of the largest business unit at Vodafone.
Hal, the only reason I bring it up is, do you know how viruses have been historically detected? You know, in more modern times, when we were doing things like eradicating the smallpox virus that had ravaged mankind for the best part of the last 5,000 years. Oh yes, but of course, viruses are cells detoxifying themselves,
causing cells in our bodies to be poisoned, toxic, and our natural defense mechanism is pushing out that toxicity in the form of a virus.
So when the Egyptians first got smallpox, it must have been because they were installing 5G on their pyramids or something. And isn't it bizarre how all of this smallpox virus cell detoxification stopped miraculously once we worked out how to create a smallpox vaccine? But if you wanted to detect viruses in the 20th century, the way you would do it is you would get a living culture of cells, something that the virus could infect. And then you added your virus-laden solution that you wanted to test the activity of, and then you would leave it for a while and count up the number of places where the virus had infected the cell culture. Now, in more modern times, of course, you can just sequence the viral genome and absolutely prove it. But this is how it was done historically. Now, if Wingers and Dingers here were right that
I was the head of the largest business unit at Vodafone.
5G just causes cells to detoxify themselves with coronavirus. Now, if they wanted to demonstrate their hypothesis, all you would have to do is irradiate a cell culture with 5G, and boom, it should start doing something like this. In fact, you wouldn't even have to irradiate it specifically with 5G, because every cell culture in every biochemistry lab around the world should magically start producing coronavirus when they turn on the 5G. And oddly enough, not one person around the world made that observation. Odd that. And of course, if these people were right, then quarantining should have no effect whatsoever. And guess what? All the places where they quarantined early, like South Korea, were magically protected against the virus-causing effects of 5G. It's almost like somehow magically the disease is some contagious thing caused by a self-replicating virus. You know, something that we've known in detail for at least the last 100 years. Now, instead, we get something with the same scientific rigor as saying there was a comet in the sky and a plague. Therefore, comets cause plagues.
Look in history, you can Google this. 1918, there was a flu pandemic. A pandemic is bad. It's not an epidemic, it's a pandemic. The pandemic of 1918 resulted in a death toll of 675,000 Americans dead. The death toll worldwide was 50 to 100 million. I mean, give or take 50 million. That's how bad it was.
So let me see if I understand this right. God wants to send a sign that he's going to judge America. So he sent a global pandemic to kill 50 to 100 million people, even though only 1% of the dead would be Americans. You know, the people he's trying to communicate with. Meanwhile, 99% of the casualties would be a splatter fire. So I'm sure if we take a look at another plague, say for instance the Black Death, I'm sure you'll find that was accompanied by a solar eclipse too. Actually, no. That was just 1/3 of the population of Europe dead without an eclipse. Good thing too. I would hate to see how bad it would have been if God had tried to communicate with these people by sending them a sign at the same time. I'm really not so sure I would call influenza evil. It's a virus. Sure, it kills you, but it's not like it sat there conspiring to do it. You know, oh, if only God will remove his presence, then I can go and kill women and children. Well, God's just sitting there saying, well, yeah, I think I'm going to remove my presence till 50 to 100 million are dead, because that'll teach them not to do what I want.
They just have a job. They just have a job. They're not going to ask any questions, right? And this is exactly how compartmentalization works.
Wait while I transfer your call.
High school office, this is Valerie.
Hey there. I just noticed some white vans in the parking lot. I was wondering if you could tell me what they were doing.
Who is this?
This is Jim.
Okay.
Just from the city, I was just wondering, I noticed they were contractor vans. I was just wondering if there was anything scheduled at the high school today for them to be working on.
Yep, we've got stuff going on.
Oh, is it related to the virus at all?
No.
Oh, is it anything to do with the 5G?